I completed another mission for the Object 260 campaign, which is Heavy Tank 8 with Guns Blazing. This is a mission that I've saved towards the end of the Heavy Tank portion of the campaign for a number of different reasons, largely because I don't have a great selection of heavy tanks, which I've discussed before. The Mouse and the VK-4502B being my Tier 9 and Tier 10 heavies. But also because I like to save the missions that rely on matchmaking RNG towards the end. Because these are typically missions that I would platoon. I mostly run solo, and it's easier if you get a couple of heavy tanks in your platoon to do this mission. And so I typically save these towards the end of any section of a given campaign. I only have a few heavy tank missions left. I have, I think, 2 more heavy tank missions before Heavy Tank 15 is completed, and ironically, I actually had a good enough game here that I would have completed Heavy Tank 15 for the Object 260 if I was on that mission. You'll see why here in a little bit. But the root of this mission is simply to do 4,000 damage to heavy tanks. This is difficult for a number of different reasons. One, you have to have 4,000 points worth of heavy tank health pool on the enemy team, which in most matches you do. Some matches you don't, quite frankly, but in most matches you do. And of course, you need to be in a position to engage and do all of that damage. And on a map like this, where you have multiple different engagement points across the bridge, on the ice road, down south, those heavy tank health pool points are going to be spread across the map. And in a tank like the Mouse, which is just big, dumb, and slow, you are not going to have access to all of those points. As you can see, there's heavy tanks across this entire map. Now, the great thing here is Matchmaker blasted me quite a bit. There are 8 heavy tanks in this match. There's a lot of heavy tanks to shoot at. So I'm just taking my time here. I've already got 1,500 damage on heavy tanks going. So I'm actually feeling relatively comfortable at this point in terms of the match, and I'm just trying to avoid taking as much damage as possible. You'll also see that my team helps me here really accidentally. My team did a couple of stupid things that allowed the enemy to continue to progress. We're getting beat pretty bad here. And you'll see at the end of the match, I actually had an opportunity to win this for the team and made quite a few poor shots at the end. But overall, this was a great match for me, and a great match for the Mouse, which is not known for just putting out damage. It's, in fact, on the lower end of DPM for Tier 10, and doesn't have the greatest of guns. So at this point, I'm just trying to output damage, and I'm actually feeling very, very comfortable with where I am at this point in the match, given how many heavy tank players are still left on the enemy team. So I'm trying to back off and just find ways to engage heavy tanks. In fact, I'm actually trying to back out of the south and start to head north where that E75 and M103 are, to see if I can't get some of their HP pool. And I still have a lot of health left on my tank, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable with where I am at this point. In fact, I think I'm gonna get to 2,800 damage in a heavy tank. So this is, at this point, almost assured that I'm gonna complete this mission. So I'm just trying to get into position where the heavy tanks are. And this, I think this portion shows you the challenges that a tank like the Mouse has in doing these types of missions. This is a big map, very isolated corridors, not easy for the Mouse to get around. I expected the heavy tanks to push towards our cap, but given that my team was actually capping, the heavy tanks started back up towards the ice road. So I had to readjust my positioning. I actually tried to convince the team to get off cap, which is quite insane. From a winning standpoint, they should be doing exactly what they're doing, and I'm just trying to be selfish to get this mission done. But luckily for me, not luckily for the team, the enemy has pushed back and is actually stopping the cap. So once again, I think that their cap is secure, so those heavy tanks are probably going to push around to our cap, and I'm trying to reposition. I would have liked that Oho to actually come back to cap. That would have been the logical thing for him to do, but he pushed on those heavies down below, which means that if I want HP from those heavies, I have to go actively get it. So I start pushing down towards the middle, which is the last place I want to be as a mouse. I don't want to be in the open, surrounded by other heavy tanks. I want walls near me or buildings near me or things that I can use to avoid getting circled around me. And now that the Oho is dead and I just have 3 heavy tanks to deal with, I'm feeling very, very confident that I'm going to get this mission done. And I want to get these heavies, 1, to know where I am, and 2, to actually come chase me, because I don't want to engage these heavies at distance, given the gun characteristics of the mouse. So I'm simply going to back up. I also noticed the M103 is at our cap. I actually expected the M103 to try to cap this out, but I suspect that given I was the last player alive, he just assumed that he would push on me and it would be no problem. Now, under ordinary circumstances, I would actually think that I'm going to win this match, despite that it's 3 versus 1. 2 of the tanks are one shot at this point, and the gun handling of the mouse really is, or I should say, the poor gun handling of the mouse is really highlighted here. Plus a couple of mistakes that I've made. So I want to get this 103's gun out of the game. So I just turn around and hit him. Puts me at 3,800 damage, so I just need 1 shot in to complete the mission itself. And I have to kill both of these E75s to complete with honors. And you can see right there a fairly well-aimed shot to the commander's hatch of the E75 misses at such close range. It highlights some of the gun handling problems that the mouse has, which is probably why they've buffed it on Super Test. So looking forward to that buff, as well as the DPM buff that's coming. But at this point, I'm again not so much worried about winning the match as I am of completing the mission. The HP pool is in front of me. I just have to get 1 more shot in, and it doesn't really matter to me where that shot comes from. And so I hit the high health tank, which strategically is the wrong thing to do, but from a mission perspective was much easier than trying to rotate my turret to this other tank. Now that the mission is complete, I'm focusing on actually winning this match, which unfortunately is too late because my health pool is pretty low here. But you can see all the shots that the E75s are bouncing off my mouse, and I'm still putting damage in here, which is one of the reasons that I actually did so well. In fact, so well that I bounced about 7,700 damage in this match and did 6,600 damage. So I actually would have completed Heavy Tank 15 for the Object 260 and done it with honors if I had actually hit any of these shots. You see, I flubbed that one and put it right into the gun of the dead E75. So overall, this was a good match and helped me complete HT-8, which is really just hit those heavy tanks, get good MM, and hopefully get it done.